Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 149, where podcast talks about pop culture, things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John. I'm joined, as always, by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you doing today?
Good. Yeah. I think we both might be sweaty. It sounded like you said you ran in from the game.
Yes,
Um,
yes. I just played a doubleheader for softball, so yeah.
was
Pardon
it
my athletic appearance.
was it successful? Did you win?
We split. We
Okay.
we played the same team twice, and we won the first one and then lost the second one. They just kind of like found their stride in hitting, and we
Hmm.
just couldn't quite keep up with what they were doing. So lost the
Sure.
second one.
Okay.
That's all
Too
right. They're a
bad.
fun
Too
team
bad.
to
Yeah,
play.
that's the way it goes. Yeah, I had Taekwondo tonight for the first time in like 9 months or something like that. So just came
Holy
home from that.
cow!
So
How did that feel? You just
good. I
walk in
mean,
there and
like,
somebody, like, clock you in the face, like, "Welcome back."
no, no, it's fun to be back. I hope I can make something consistent of it. Like fitness wise is fine because I've been making judo and then kickboxing occasionally and some of that,
Sure.
but not but yeah, it's good to be back. So
Good.
It's good to be back here as well. MJ Honeybee is in the chat, and glad that she is here also.
MJ.
Um, yeah, I think she was streaming a bunch today, so
Nice.
make sure you guys check her out on Twitch. She's a big time, big shot Dead by Daylight streamer. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, tonight, what are we gonna talk about? What are we gonna talk about tonight?
What are we
Tonight,
gonna talk about?
we're gonna talk about Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. It's an
Mhm.
animated movie from 1993. I haven't seen it since then, basically. It's been years. And I thought this was perfect because we just celebrated Batman Day a few
Mhm.
days ago. So
Mhm.
I think this year was on the 16th. I put in the calendar, I was confused that it was Sunday. The way it works is it's every like third Saturday of September. So
Oh,
the
okay.
actual
Sure.
day changes year to
It's like
year.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
Batman.
Yep. Yep.
Batsgiving.
So, mhm.
Feel like
Mhm.
I should be making some sort of Joker pun.
Yeah.
It's
He should be.
Batsgiving this year.
He did do a lot of puns, didn't he?
He did.
It's
He
a lot of
did.
puns. So we're gonna get into that film in spoilerific detail in not too long here. But we got a news story we really should talk about. We'll see what we've been up to, and then we've got our drink holidays up top. So that's the layout of our
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. I'll walk through those because I can celebrate right away with a cheers because September is Bourbon Heritage Month, and guess who's drinking some bourbon and soda? It is me.
Nice. All right. Back to the
So yeah.
back to the Bond drink kind of from last week.
Indeed. Yes. No. So I mean, I can just say this now. I'm reading Moonraker. I'm really enjoying it so far, although it's less heavy. Or I guess less often that they sprinkle the food and drink,
Hmm.
very specific orders, I think, in this book. They're still
How
there.
far? Yeah.
I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I think they're still
Okay.
there. They're just like not quite as often as I felt like in the first two. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
definitely when it happens, it's like so detailed and it's every single piece of everything. But I felt I think especially in Live and Let Die that it was just like every couple of pages almost at some points.
Sure.
He and Solitaire were
So.
like on the train, going to the diner, like he and Felix were going to
Hmm.
the club, you know what I mean? Like so there was just a lot more opportunity there.
Yeah. I really liked reading Moonraker as my first Bond book, I think, because
It's a really good
it
book.
it's so it really feels like an original story. Like it's not
Yes.
a Bond movie. It really
Mhm.
isn't a Bond movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was that was fun. I really didn't know what was going to happen, what to expect, and yeah. So what's happening right now? To 2/3 through the book, what's going on?
I mean, Bonds joined Drax, Hugo Drax. He's joined up as his like security contingent for the Moonraker, and they're like literally just about to fire for the first time.
Okay, all right, cool.
Test it out. So
Exciting. Yeah, I almost started Diamonds Are Forever the other night. I was just too tired, so get
sure.
there pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I should fly through the rest of Moonraker, I think, and get into that pretty quick too. But
cool.
anyway, cheers to a Bourbon Heritage Month and
Yeah,
cheers to Bond with a bourbon and soda.
perfect.
Um, Other kind of rando holidays that are happening in this, 2 week of
Hmm.
September time period. On September 10th, it was Canned Cocktail Day, which I like for sure. I mean, I think canned cocktails are really having a moment, and there are some good ones out there. I had a good canned Paloma recently that
Sure.
quite enjoyed. So if you're a fan of canned cocktails, good for you because they're having a moment.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we have 9/15, September 15th, the day after my birthday. Slipping that in
Woo-woo.
there. It was creme de menthe day. So if you're, I guess, a fan of the grasshopper, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I know, right? I
And
There must be something else, but
I mean, I know there is bad bartender Andrea. But that's the first thing that comes to mind anyway. And then apparently we're
shots,
skipping
just
shots.
shots of
Oh
yeah.
God, God, that sounds awful. And then we're jumping apparently right into the next month because September 16th was the start of Oktoberfest, which runs through October 3rd.
Cool. Nice.
Celebrating anything
Yeah.
in there?
Yeah, first I'm like, okay, come back from the gym. I should just, I thought I'm gonna pour some like just gonna drink water. That's what Bruce Wayne would do, or have like some sort of sparkling something that looks like alcohol. It's like if I had some grape juice or something like that, put it in a champagne flute, pretend I'm drinking. Another
Right.
what Bruce Wayne would do. Um, but I thought this is maybe my chance. Uh, I have
Do a
I have I
cocktail
think
from the
one
book.
Oktoberfest left.
Oh, okay.
I know. That was the other thing. It's like, oh, I gotta get the
John.
Gotham book or whatever. But I literally got home and
Yeah,
tried to make my hair presentable and then got in front of the camera. So I got a
totally did.
Shell's Oktoberfest. Um, that's what I'm rocking. Just
Well, it's
kind
perfect.
of
Right on point, right on
local.
theme.
I love
Cheers.
Oktoberfest. Cheers.
Who doesn't love Oktoberfest?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the inside scoop right now. This is no one else is going to care. I'm telling you and Andrea and Alan. Um, Probably next year we're going to do an Oktoberfest. They'll be a little earlier. We're going to do an Oktoberfest, big kind of party. I'm hopefully going to make
Yeah.
pretzels, all that kind of thing. We'll do Hammerschlagen and
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh my God, I
And
love it.
then for Halloween, we'll probably try to do a family friendly early in the day Halloween party.
Fun.
So
I
that's the
love
plan. The
that.
adult Oktoberfest happens, and then and MJ is the chat too. So
Yes. Getting the scoop, girl.
yep, yep. So letting them already know right now.
Love it. That's
Anyways,
awesome.
everybody other than MJ and it's not gonna care about that. Just it came up, so that's what I'm gonna
No,
say.
I absolutely love that plan. I love it. Getting out my
Um,
dirndl now.
yeah, okay. What else you do this last week?
So besides reading Moonraker, not a whole lot. The only thing pop culture noteworthy is Chris surprised me for my birthday and arranged for someone to look after the girls. And we went to the Alamo Draft House and saw Barbie.
Nice. All right.
Yes.
So what'd you think of it?
I liked it a lot. So even though I do have to say this though. So going into it, I knew like it had really great reviews. Like, a lot of people were liking it. I had a
Yeah.
lot of people telling me like go see it, go see it. I still went into it like I know this is good, but there's a part of me that's like, how much can you really say in a movie about a toy? Like a part of me was
Mm,
still just sort
sure.
of like, how are we making a movie about Barbie?
Mhm.
And I don't know, just like watching the movie, I was like, dang, you can say a hell of a lot apparently. And it really was good. It was like thought provoking and deep, but like really funny at the same time. Just, yeah,
Cool.
really, really surprised me, even though I knew it was good and I knew a lot of people had thought it was good, still sort of had these weird reservations. And yeah, I just
Yeah.
thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like, I'd be lying if I said that I cared about Barbie. But I know that, Ashley was pretty interested, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. It's got a lot of stars in it, I guess,
Yes.
So,
Yes. Incredibly well acted and very, very funny. Right?
nice.
I mean, and to anybody who was like, "Ryan Gosling's too old to play Ken," he was not. He was
I've
not.
heard
That's
he was
crazy
everybody
ridiculous.
says mentions he's a standout.
He
Everybody
is
mentions that.
really funny. He commits really hard, but not in like a cloying, you're trying too hard way. You're just like, "Oh, this is very good." Like, you're very into
Mhm.
this. I love it.
Cool.
So, yeah, highly
What I
recommend.
w
Now I'm
the
among
other
the legion that says thumbs up.
The other thing that I think is interesting about it, and I haven't seen it yet, so I guess I won't comment on it too much, but
Sure.
I think it's cool when something, if you want to look at film as art, art is it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder sort of thing is what you get out of it. I think it's really interesting how the different varying conclusions and thoughts people walk away from this movie have. So I've seen a
Sure.
lot of people like in one way or another really like think this movie is saying something and then love it. And then someone else think this movie is saying something completely else and love it.
Sure.
So it's just really
Yeah.
interesting to see that. I don't know. It's making people talk about it and think about it anyways.
Yeah, if this I mean, Chris said something really interesting, as we were leaving the theater. He was talking about, like, how if this wasn't such, like, a big budget, like, full of well-known actors movie, this could almost be, like, some sort of, like, indie pop culture, you know what I mean? Like, art house cinema.
Hmm.
If it was just a bunch of nobodies doing this, it's really trippy in that way. It is budgeted and cast as a mainstream movie, but it doesn't feel like it when you think about what actually happens in the movie. It feels like some sort of trippy dream, you know, exploration of self and philosophy, and it's but then, like, juxtaposed with this, weirdly upbeat,
Yeah.
peppy, surreal Barbie
Yeah.
dreamland, and it is really interesting. It's a big budget film under different circumstances could totally be some art house cinema.
Sure.
So it's
Well,
really interesting.
I mean, we're gonna get Hasbro making a lot of different toy movies now, so
Yeah,
be ready.
I'm not sure, even though I came away really liking Barbie, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I know there's, like, a
Yeah.
proposition out there for, like, a Tetris movie, and I'm just sort of like,
Well,
"What?"
I mean, there's already a Tetris. I mean, I don't know what kind of different Tetris, but there is a Tetris movie right now. We should watch it and talk about it. Actually, it's supposed to be great.
Okay.
It's on Apple TV Plus. It stars Taron Egerton,
Yeah.
and
That's
it has a
right.
K-pop group does a Tetris remix song in
That's
there that's awesome.
right. I
So
forgot about
I've
that. I
heard
forgot
no
about
bad
that.
reviews about the Tetris movie. So
That's really funny. I forgot about that.
yeah, yeah,
I would
cool,
watch
cool.
that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully one of these days I'll get around to Barbie and Oppenheimer and Mission Possible, kind of the big movies of the
Yes.
summer when they are
Yep.
all available at home and all that sort of thing. So,
Yep.
and get there. Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot this week. I was like consumed with there was a lot of video game stuff. Talk about one news
Yeah.
story pretty quick here, but it's Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct and PlayStation had a State of Play on the same day. So
Rude.
I yeah, different times during the day. So big gaming news day or whatever. You know, I watched both of them. I came away. The PlayStation One is just more of I don't know. It feels like PlayStation does. They feel like they're contractually obligated to show a certain amount of games, a certain amount of times, and they don't really care to do these and don't feel like they need to be doing them because they're not if they could they should release some new color panels so you can put on your PlayStation and like they could just release that on their website and on a blog post. They don't need it to be in a state of play. A lot of the games we saw were just things from before. Um like a little different look at them. We saw foam stars again, which everyone is like just clowning. So the idea again,
Mhm.
it feels like they had to put it in there. It just feels like they don't care about trying to impress anyone. They're selling like gangbusters. Their system's doing great. It's a coveted piece of hardware. People want a PlayStation 5. And so what do we I guess we need to do these because we said we will. But
Sure.
that's what that feels like
I'll
to
go
me.
on it.
Ashley was excited about one thing that came out of left field for me. It was um, DLC content for Tales of Arise. She was very excited about that. So that was a cool announcement. And then the Nintendo Direct, I thought was generally pretty good, but it is definitely clear that, you know, it's interesting how many games are being remade. They're taking classic games or older games or whatever and kind of upresing them and putting them on the Switch and stuff. And I don't
Mhm.
have an inherent problem with that. It's just, you know, if people have played those games, maybe they're ready for something new and not a
Sure.
shinier version of the thing they've already played. So.
Sure.
But the Switch has been very successful. And so I do think it's a good strategy to bring a lot of these older games to, a new generation that's on the Switch has maybe never had these other things before. I think it's a great deal if someone has maybe not gamed for a long time or they're very young and the Switch is their first thing, they can kind of get this system and they have access to a lot of previous content and now up-res shiny newer versions of classic older games too. So
Sure.
I was going to review, I wanted to keep the episode shorter or would be reviewing Fiendish Volume 1. I'll talk about that either in a separate video or next week. That's a new comic book. And it's really good. Spoiler, it's really good. So I'll talk about that later. And then I've been playing a little bit of Starfield here and there.
Oh, nice. How are
It's
you
been
finding it?
kind of it's been a slow start for me, and have heard other people say it's slow to start as well.
Okay.
Um, I found it like annoying to play in third person, even though I wanted to play in third person. So I'm playing in first person, but you easily get to switch between them, so that's nice.
Okay.
Um, it's cool, and there's some stuff that's pretty. It's amazing how dated it feels in some ways. Like just still the look of NPCs, how
Mm.
many load screens there are. They're short, they're quick, but still like every single thing. And like the way this starts, it just feels like I'm press a button to go into the cockpit, press a button to go to this planet, press a button to land on the planet. There's no like ability or anything in that. It's just like
Mhm. Mhm.
and so you're doing this point going between different points, different planets in the early missions. And
Mhm.
I get they're teaching you the systems, but it just feels like when am I gonna do something fun? The moments of
Mhm.
fun seem sporadic. The last mission I did was pretty cool, and so I've heard if you stick with it, the storyline is great, absolutely great. And then when you've done that storyline, then you can, you know, really, explore more. The new game plus is good, but yeah, with my limited time, I get short sessions, and it's been difficult to like really get into it. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, and Lies of P is
Well, I hope
out
it picks
today
up.
now on Game Pass. What's that?
Oh, I was just saying, I hope it picks up for you.
Yeah, well, I'm just tempted now, like I say, by this new game that just came out today on Game Pass, Lies of
Sure.
P. It's like a Soulsborne-ish kind of game by a Korean studio. It looks really like atmospheric and dark, and it's about you're like playing Pinocchio, but like it's a
Mm,
very Lies of Pinocchio. You're
I have
playing
heard of
his
this.
yeah. So like the people you're fighting are puppets and marionette things or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, it it looks really cool. I've always wanted to have the game that gets me into
Yeah.
working into like some sort of Soulsborne game, the one
Yeah.
that connects with me, you know. But Alan says your lies affect the storyline too, so that's cool. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's good to have that lying
Yeah,
element in there
I
for
remember
Pinocchio.
this now. I remember
Hmm.
this now. I
So
can't
we'll see.
remember which like showcase I saw it on, but I remember this now.
And two of my favorite, I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom. I have DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. Just like it's
What?
endless, Andrea. It's endless. I can't, I can't do it. So,
You'll never do it
um,
all. It's like
mm,
streaming.
mhm. All right. We should talk about the one news story quick. I just wanted to mention it because it came
Yeah.
out today. Like it's the big
Yeah.
hot thing going on. We all know that Microsoft is embroiled in a court hearings and stuff like that with the FTC. They're trying to get regulation or pass regulation for all these different countries and stuff. Most places have approved it, but the deal where they
Mhm.
can buy Activision Blizzard King and you know, all kinds of things get put through the court system, documents revealed during this. Usually it's all redacted and everything. One giant dump of tons of information was
Yeah.
posted to a pretty public, non-secure place. The initial
Cool.
assumption was it was the FTC. Someone at the FTC did this. The FTC says that it's not us, it's on Microsoft. So we'll see where that comes down. But anyways, this is basically the roadmap that Microsoft
Mhm.
has laid out to like 2030. So it talks about new controllers and it shows pictures and talks about new
Yeah.
consoles. It talks about the strategies for like, you know, mid-gen refresh systems, next-gen cloud strategy. It talks about game releases,
Mhm.
remasters of Fallout 3. It just like on and on. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Phil Spencer came out with a statement on X saying, "Hey, you know, it's unfortunate our old plans got revealed in this way or whatever, and when we have our current plans and things to be excited about when we're ready to share them, we will."
Yeah.
Um, but this isn't that old, so it's
Yeah.
calling it old plans. It's some of this stuff's
I
not
mean,
very old. So
it's obviously a PR strategy, and that's
yeah,
fine. But
hmm
like, yeah, it's clearly not that old.
yeah,
And some of it, I mean, I think some of it is obviously grain of salt.
hmm
I mean, things
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 change.
like things like the console and like the controller or whatever, those might be more concrete and solid. Like some of it, like I was just reading through like Phil Spencer being like, I want to buy a Nintendo. Like, okay.
So
Good luck, yo.
S so the interesting thing about Nintendo with about that is back when Microsoft first got into the gaming console space, they went over and they tried to buy Nintendo, tried to go over and buy Nintendo,
Sure.
and they got laughed out of the room. Um, they still what's fascinating about this is they still want to buy Nintendo. So they've been
Yep.
doing all kinds of things to like, you know, placate Nintendo, build a good relationship there. There's an email that says, "Look, we don't
Yep.
want to do a hostile takeover of Nintendo. That would be a
Yeah.
bad move. We're gonna play the long game here. We should invest in the company, all that sort of thing. So they're like waiting for Nintendo to be weak, and they'll
Yep, and
always
then
be there for
swoop.
them. Yes, and like,
Yep,
hey, we're making an offer. We look at the great relationship we've had, and all that sort of thing.
yep,
So and one thing I've learned from this is I admire the gusto at which Microsoft is going into the gaming space, because Microsoft has lost basically every space they've tried to enter in the last 15,
yep,
20 years. They give up too early, or they just fail, whatever. It's a phone market, it's MP3s, it's streaming, it's digital assistants, home speaker, whatever you name it, they fail. They quit. And if they can say, we are not going to lose in the gaming space, we will be a dominant force in video gaming for years to come, and it will be a platform, a pillar of the company, and they stick to it. I think that's a great thing for them, because you just can't keep losing this many times and maintain yourself as a trillion or $2 trillion company.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I completely agree with that. But
so
it's
stick to
interesting
it.
to see what their strategy is for winning.
Yeah.
It's some real things and some, like I said, pipe dreams.
Yep. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So I'm interested to keep following this.
Mhm.
A little bit of, I like being surprised by this stuff, so I don't need to see their detailed plans laid out or whatever,
Right.
you know. Um, but guess I'm excited for Dishonored 3, but I'd rather just have that be revealed when it's
Revealed.
ready. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of sad, you know. It takes the wind
mhm,
out of the sails for like a cool reveal or like a featured spot in a,
yep.
showcase at some point.
Mhm. I will say I'm not a fan at this moment of the cylindrical
Yeah.
Xbox redesign. It
Yeah.
looks like an Apple HomePod or their old Mac Pro or
Right? Like,
Amazon
bleh.
speaker.
I've already
What's that?
seen this. I've already seen this.
Yeah.
It's kind of bleh.
Mhm. I like the squared, like, architectural, like, monolithic, sort of
Sure.
brutalist rectangle that
Hard
we got.
planes.
Yeah. Mhm.
But this, maybe that's why they can call it, the most powerful Xbox ever, now adorably all digital. Maybe it's adorable with its little
Yeah.
curves and its
Uh-huh. Yeah.
cylindrical shape.
Put a bow on it. Mhm. Yep. Alright. Well, that's the Xbox leak. Everybody let
Yeah,
us know what
major.
your thoughts are on this, and if Sony will respond in a different way, if this will matter to them
Yeah,
or the rest of the
yeah.
industry.
Sony's
So,
pivoting even now.
yeah, mhm. Okay, time to talk about Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. Again,
Do it.
celebrating National Batman Day, happened just a few days back. This is the animated film, again from 1993. Spoilers if you have not seen it. This rather old film. Um, so have you seen this ever, Andrea? This is
No,
the first time? First
this
time.
is my
Okay.
first viewing.
Okay. But you've seen a lot of the animated series.
Yes, yes, I've seen probably almost all of the animated series. I don't wanna say for
Okay.
sure because I don't know that to be
Right.
true, but
Right.
I've seen quite a bit of it.
Not how we used to watch things as kids in like order all the time, and like
Yes,
you catch it on TV when you could.
and if you didn't, my god, like, the
Mhm.
devastation.
Yeah. Yep.
Seriously, the
Mhm.
devastation if you, like, missed it. You were, like, planning your week around stuff, or, like, your parents wanted to go somewhere and you were like, "I can't miss Saturday morning cartoons."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. Um, so what'd you think of it? I mean, first
Yeah.
time seeing it, 93, 2003, 2013, 30 years on.
Oh god. Made me feel old for sure. But in the same vein, it definitely took me back to like a nostalgic time, when I was like watching these like live and for the first time. So it was really fun to sort of like revisit like the 90s aesthetic of Batman and like get into to that cartoon again.
Yeah.
So it was really fun that way. It just like immediately was taken back from like the first opening to the like closing 90s ballady pop song.
Yeah.
It just
That
like
was yeah.
everything was just it was so evocative of that specific time.
Mhm.
I liked the movie a lot. Um, there were definitely some like plot hiccups that I was like, just gonna
Okay.
leave this a drift day.
Okay.
Um, but overall, really fun. Fun to definitely kind of go back and forth to, like younger college age Bruce, which I really don't feel like is an era we see a lot of. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's really like young Bruce and like adult Bruce. And there's no like, I'm in my college years and, I'm on
Mhm.
campus and, going to school
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's something we explored a little bit in that the Batman prequel book that I talked about the other week.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
talked
for
about
sure.
college years and stuff. But what I thought was interesting is now we've seen a lot of how Bruce began. We've addressed this now in the Nolan
Yeah,
trilogy. We're in year 2 in the Batman. So we're familiar with sort of like finding the inspiration to need to strike fear into the heart of his enemies and that kind of thing. But at the time, I don't think that was ever particularly addressed in the animated series. And it certainly
right,
wasn't in the first 2 Tim Burton films.
right.
So, in 93, I think Batman Forever was 95. So Batman Forever
Yeah.
explored more of the past and the childhood trauma and all that sort of thing.
And
Um,
striking fear for sure.
yeah. So so this was something a little bit newer at the time
Hmm.
for a viewing audience anyways, as opposed to comic book reading. And I thought they did a really good job of it. I appreciate it a lot more now than when I saw it originally back then.
Sure.
Like this film is surprisingly mature. And
Yes.
again, there's a number of episodes and stuff like that for the animated series that's like that as well. But this story, it's not action happening all the time. And it
Hmm.
is like going between different time frames. It is dealing with like w- would my parents allow this for me? I've sworn to my dead parents, like, can I go back on that? Would
Hmm.
they harbor ill will towards me for that kind of thing? Or can I just be happy? Or will I be guilt ridden if I am?
Yep.
And great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that struck me really was, the theme of like what do you owe someone else? And how far do you have to like keep a promise? And
Hmm.
especially, in this circumstance, I really think, I mean, Bruce is, talks a lot about like the promise that he made to his parents, but really it's like a promise to himself.
Right.
So he's really sort
Hmm.
of like using his parents to sort of work out, how would I feel if I let this go?
Hmm.
Because, he and the film's, main a female character, his love interest, Andrea, who says her name wrong by the way. Um she they really talk about like what do they owe their parents, and
Yeah.
she's talking about like they would want you to be happy. And speaking, as a newer parent, of course, that's what I would want. I would never want to like hold my kid to some standard of vengeance and, like you have to do this for me, but I want you to take it so far that you're going to be miserable and alone for the rest of your life. Like, no, of
Right.
course not. But like I said, really, this is like Bruce's promise to himself, and he's sort of like using his parents as, you know, the thing that's driving this. And
Mhm.
so it was really interesting to see this movie explore that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the trick about guilt. Like you say, it is about yourself. Um, but like, how do you, you know, because he has that survivor's guilt. Like, how you go on, you get to live a happy life, and
Right.
especially, as you later stories tell, like he, feels that it's his fault to begin with, that it's his
Right.
parents are dead, and yeah, I don't know. I love the moment. And again, it's really real. Just that he's talking to his parents' headstone, which is an
Mhm.
impressive, great looking headstone, by the way. And he's just like, it just doesn't hurt so much anymore. He's
Yep.
like, just admitting that, like, it just like, I'm sorry, yeah, like, I love you, but I just like, it's so fresh anymore. And
Yeah.
can I keep this sort of vengeance, drive for vengeance in my heart yet? Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally interesting because I think something we don't often hear in revenge stories. We don't often hear the letting go, and we don't
Yep.
often hear directly saying it doesn't feel that bad anymore, you know?
Mhm.
I think so many stories talk about grief and like the acceptance that you can go through and the lessening over time, but we skip over acknowledging it out loud the way that Bruce
Yeah.
does in this film by saying that.
Yep. Yep. And I think that's a great moment for Bruce, because a lot of other versions, like you say, not just in other sort of vengeance or grief situations, but specifically in Batman, it's an
Yes,
angle that I don't prefer. Is when, like, the whole point, look, an impetus can be that my parents were murdered and the crime in Gotham is out of hand, and I'm going to do what I
right,
can to make it a better place.
right,
And so this doesn't happen to some other young kid like me. But then the motivation moves to just that. Like, you now want to make this world a better place. It doesn't have to
right,
be because it's it's what started you down a path, and now you continue it for more altruistic reasons than like a
right,
personal one.
right,
And
right.
I like that
A
take, as
shared
opposed
motive.
to like Bruce Wayne is 45 years old. He lost his parents when he was like 10, and he's just wrecked with guilt still. And that's like, it's like he's the idea that he doesn't want to be Batman. He hasn't
Right,
found greater reasons to be Batman anymore. He is still just that child.
right.
I don't like that take. So,
Yeah, it never allows him to mature in a
yeah.
way. I mean, his body
Mhm.
becomes physically older, but like his mind is still stuck in that, 10-year-old's howl of grief and vengeance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why I like, where versions like in the animated series, where Bruce, he takes responsibility for the Wayne name and for the Wayne company. And, so he's not this like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I throw
Right.
away the past in that sort of sense, and, what a way to dishonor your parents to begin with, then, if you're
Right.
worried so much about that kind of thing. So,
Right.
um, what do we think about the Phantasm slash Andrea?
Andrea Beaumont. Yes, it definitely got me that, like, I definitely thought it was her dad for a
Okay.
while there.
Mhm,
Um, and then when she was revealed, I was like, "Yeah, that's right." I feel like I
mhm,
got the contextual clues now, and I got it. But yeah, for a hot minute there, thought it was her dad trying
mhm,
to figure out a way out of his debt and out of his, situation and sort of like free them from being on the run. So yeah, I bought into the fake out, the red herring. Um, so that was fun. That was fun to like definitely be taken for
mhm.
that ride and then kind of come back and be like, I got you now.
Yeah.
But it was good. Um, and I think the effect of it was really great. I still want to know how she does the, disappear into smoke. apparently her whole body just like dissolves and whatever. So, a great trick, very spooky. Um the only moment where I was like really taken out of, the fear that the phantasm was supposed to induce was calling the second gangster a loser. I was like,
Oh.
"Oh no." Just just felt silly. So I was
Right.
just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"That's really the best you could come up with? You're a loser?"
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
but other than that, I thought the effect of it, kind of overall was really great.
Mhm. I think to me that's the only weak spot that I can think of really in the film is that we kind of were I wanted to know more about the smoke, the mist, and her
Right.
ability to disappear. I think to me, if you like I would half want them to be like because Batman's sort of finding this residue at the sites to know that it's like
Right.
the same person that to me needed to lead to something like, hey, this is actually a compound, creates this gas that sort of can induce a bit of confusion or
Yes.
something. And so not only does the smoke literally cloud obscure your vision, but it also like makes you maybe a little hazy. So you think you're seeing something go through the
Yeah.
phantom and it's not. And so like that's my head canon of it. But
Yep.
otherwise, we have, like this looks like superpowers, and we never
Right.
get any sort of explanation or whatever for it. Um, that's my one complaint, I guess.
Yeah, no, so I agree, and I have one other just quick note along the same vein of things feeling unfinished. So I completely agree because we got this whole like this is the chemical compound and this is what it's called and this is what I discovered. So and
Yeah.
what what does it do? What do we know? Like you said, does it create this sort of like effect and how do we explain this? So, we just needed that next step. My only other sort of complaint about about the film was the unfinished nature of the revenge at the end. So,
Mm.
Andrea Beaumont like comes back and she's pissed at this like group of gangsters for forcing her father and her to be on the run and therefore leave, her new engagement with Bruce and the life she thought she was going to have. Um so I get all of that. I got her motivation and she was, coming for this group one by one, taking them out. Um, but like the Joker still at large, she just sort of abandons that piece of it,
Mhm.
even though he's clearly in the photograph and part
Yeah.
of the gang. Um, then also Councilman Arthur is just in the loony bin, but gonna recover. And
Yeah.
we're cool with just letting him skate on by and not calling him out for basically being, like, the catalyst for all of this, for selling out her
Yeah. The
dad.
snitch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was the only other piece I was just sort of like, "You sacrificed so much, and yet at the finish line, you were just like, 'Bye?'
Yeah.
Goodbye, Bruce, I'm gonna go be lonely somewhere else." That was the piece I just
Yeah.
couldn't quite wrap my head around.
I agree because if she was going to if Bruce had convinced her that this was not
Mhm.
worth it, then
Great.
theoretically they could be together,
Right.
and it's a different ending to the story. The way we see it, the way it unfolds is really you are we can't see eye to eye in this. Therefore, we cannot be together because
Right.
I, as Batman, won't go down this path of being judge, jury, and executioner,
Right.
and would not condone you of doing that. And she's like, "No, look, I have to do this." But
Right.
then, right, doesn't see it through, or she's not caught and is in prison. So,
Right.
like, you know, Batman
Yeah,
could stop her and arrest her, whatever, get out of the cops,
right.
or she completes the thing and Batman fails,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I needed a more concrete resolution. Like you said, you know, obviously, ideally he wants to convince her, like, abandon this, be with me, like what we had, we can
Yeah.
return to, and it's enough. Okay, so that fails. That's fine. Next step is, like you said, she still attempts to go on with this, and Batman has to make the horrible choice to arrest her and, like,
Mhm.
feel like he's betraying their love, but, really just sticking to his principles. But still, that's like a concrete something.
Yep.
She tries to go through with this and she fails, which is where I thought everything was going to go, because she does this whole big goodbye, and I thought she was, trying to, like, take the Joker down with her, like, go
Yeah.
down. And I would have bought that, even if the Joker survived, like, somehow miraculously escaped, whatever, but she perished. I would have bought that. I would have, been sold on that tragic ending. But
Mhm.
instead, she escapes to fight another day, but not really do anything about it. So yeah,
Mhm.
I was just a little dissatisfied with the, lack of conclusion there.
Yeah. You know, I would like the kind of sacrificial sort of thing too. And that's what it feels like because it's such an epic moment. I really love the
It
shot.
really
It's like
is.
things are coming down, it's all
Yes.
burning and exploding. She's holding the Joker.
Yes.
He's laughing absolutely maniacally. It's just
Right?
a great moment.
And
And,
it's the
but
future burning. It's so symbolic because, like,
yeah,
it's this World's Fair of, like, things that are, the things of tomorrow. Like,
yeah.
it's got the symbolism. It's so good.
hmm The problem with that is it's very like Batman Returns.
Yeah,
It's
I get it.
very,
I
and
get it.
but, animated
But
series versus the movies, they live in separate worlds, like, so they
right.
could tell this kind of thing here. Um, but yeah, I they did need to, like, choose. They need to
Yeah.
choose. So,
Yeah, it felt like they didn't choose, and the ending just was anticlimactic in
mhm,
that sense. It just kind of eh.
yep,
But the
and
rest of the movie I really enjoyed.
mhm, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, it's an exemplary, um, like, example of an animated American animated thing that is just it's not written down for anyone. It's just
Mhm.
a good story, told truthfully, and I love the art style is a kind of thing of its own. As the
Yes.
comic I was reading and reviewed a few weeks ago, Terror in the Trenches, immediately looks like this because this is
Mhm.
distinct. It does have its own look. Um, Gotham really has its own look.
Mhm.
They do a really good job with kind of playing off of the Tim Burton's version. So the backgrounds are beautiful. I absolutely This is my theme song for Batman. It's
Mhm.
absolutely
Totally.
what resonates with me. So
Yep.
yeah. And I have to say, I am usually kind of, especially in the animated stuff, I'm tired of the Joker. Like I don't need to have the
I
Joker involved all the
loved
time.
him in this one.
But he was great in here. Yeah, that's the
Yes.
thing is like he was great. Like,
Fits
and
perfectly in here.
he was a threat in the right ways. I remember as a kid too being afraid of him, like the insanity that is there. Like you don't know when he's gonna
Yes.
like hurt the old man or what. Like when he's really angry and where he's just busting your chops, he convincingly you don't know, and it's a scary thing. And it's
Yes.
cool we see his regular face that he was like in this
Yes.
mob. That's cool
Yes.
too.
But, like,
So
Batman is like, "Oh, I got it." Like,
yep.
so fun. Yes. No, all those,
Yep.
like, nuggets were so much fun. I really enjoyed his, you know, back and current story in this. He was menacing, he was smart, he was creepy. Setting up, Sal Valestra's death was just
Yep.
horrifying and brilliant. And I was just like, "Oh god, that's so good. I hate to admire you, but dang, that's smart."
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yep.
no, his presence was perfect in this movie. It wasn't too much, They waited to
Mhm.
introduce him, so he wasn't there right from the beginning. He made sense for why he was there, like, the size of his role. Really
Yep.
enjoyed it.
Yep. Yep. All right. Cool.
Also, just to throw it out there, Bruce Wayne, get a sock for your Dorio. Poor Alfred cannot walk in on another tryst.
Uh,
He can't take it,
it's
man.
funny. His old ticker. It's gonna yeah,
Hang your
that's
bat
funny.
cowl on the door, for God's sake. Make it real obvious. Oh,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
That was a
Mm.
really, it was a fun trope that they used, kind
Yeah.
of well throughout the movie. So they definitely, like, balanced some humor and fun in this as
Mhm.
well, but yeah,
Yeah, in,
poor
like,
Alfred.
the 2 different time frames for it, so
Yes,
it's this one
yes.
younger. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, no, this I felt like was just a really smartly done movie. Um, yeah. I love the back and forth, everything fit nicely. All the storylines were woven in really well. I just wished for a, you know, more of a bang than a fizzle ending.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, and I feel like I've never seen another story with the Phantasm. So if it
Okay.
exists, if there's a follow-up in
Ooh,
some
yeah.
fashion to, like, whatever, I've
I'd
not
be interested
seen
in
or
that.
heard of it. So,
I would be
yeah.
interested in that if
Yeah.
somebody wanted to create that down the line. John,
Yeah.
dust off the
It's,
old equipment. Write it up.
yep, yep, sounds good.
I mean,
You gonna be my
Andrea
Phantasm?
Beaumont. I
Yep,
mean,
mhm.
got the name going on, so
Yep, yep, nice. Alright, well, everybody look forward to that, and, in the meantime in the meantime, make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, all those sorts of places, like Twitch here where we're streaming, or YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook, um, wherever you please. Reviews on podcast directories would be appreciated. So, like
Mhm.
Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The video version is on available on Spotify. So check that out. Killing the Flower. They wrote our main theme song. So they're on streaming services and YouTube and Instagram. MJ Honeybee, she's been in a chat. She jumped in right away. She streamed a bunch today. She streams like 3 days a week. So make sure you check out MJ Honeybee on Twitch. She does Dead by Daylight streams most of the time. It's got a fun community over there. She also posts things to YouTube, so check her out there. Um, our friend Mike from the Anime Podcast is
Mhm.
Track Mouse 34 on YouTube. And he was supposed to be posting something new recently from this other weekend. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet, but go ahead and check out what he has going there. And he should have some new content pretty soon as well for racing stuff. And I mean, plug more. We haven't had him on in a while. We got to get him back on. But Peter J. Gilbertson, you can
Yes.
find his books, short stories, and those sorts of things, horror, and like the first one is Zombies at the Gates. There's that kind of fun short story compilations that our friend Peter J. Gilbertson has written. You can find his stuff on Amazon. You can buy it digitally. You can get a physical version now. So make sure to check that out. And I think that's most of the promotions to do there. So yeah.
Yeah. You covered your bases.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's been Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Popcast on the Rocks, episode 149. Andrea, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.
Of course. As always, cheers, everybody.